What is up, everyone? Barricade here, and I'm bringing you guys another episode of Gears of War lore. Today we're going to be talking about issue number 15, also known as They Also Serve, a Gears of War one-shot story talking about what exactly finally convinced Adam Fenix to start working on the Hammer of Dawn. So this is actually a really good, interesting story, actually, showing his personal battles actually in the war itself, and also personally with himself, with whether or not he should leave his squad to go ahead and start working on the Hammer of Dawn. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So we simply start off with Adam Fenix burying one of his soldiers known by the name of Hansen. He has a really huge sense of regret because this man was one of his soldiers that is now gone, and he's leaving his family behind. So he feels bad knowing that this family is without a father, without a husband, and he can't stand it. It's just driving him nuts. And while he's burying him, he's speaking with Helena Stroud, which is actually Anya Stroud's mother. They have a little bit of discussion and stating that they don't want their kids to be doing this. They don't want Marcus and Anya to be in any type of war or battle. It's kind of sad to know that it actually ends up being a much worse war later on. But as they're discussing, they decide that they have to go forward with their mission, is simply to intercept some UIR convoys and vehicles on a bridge and make sure they don't get past a certain area. The thing that sucks is they were just at that area, so now they have to go back. So it's kind of a weird misdirection and confusion with their colonel. He kind of keeps making them do things they're not supposed to, putting them in bad situations, and it's just not a good experience for him and his soldiers. As they're building up the area and getting prepared to fight these soldiers that are going to be crossing the bridge shortly, they can see that only a few vehicles showed up. Ones, while they were actually expecting a lot more. They're expecting a lot more vehicles, a lot more soldiers. So they're kind of like, wait, they kind of have this feeling like, why are we even here? Why are we doing this? So, but anyways, as they go on, they fight this small amount of vehicles and they take them out. And as they're doing so, they reach back out to the colonel and basically tell them what I just said right now, like, why are we doing this? This was kind of a mess up. Like, there was no reason for them to go all the way back just to take out some scout vehicles. And the colonel tells them, well, that was just, some random vehicles. You guys need to wait longer. There's going to be more soldiers coming soon. So you guys need to really dig into this area and prepare. So they start doing so, and they start, waiting, getting all their barricades, weapons, everything set up. And while they're waiting for the actual true battle to come, we can see that Adam is sitting there looking at a picture of his wife and son, Elaine Fenix and Marcus Fenix. And while he's looking at it, he is contemplating something really interesting, and that's the simple fact that he has the rank and the intelligence to go ahead and actually leave the war and become a scientist, a true scientist that can work on weapons that can help out in the war. But he has this really huge sense of guilt once again, where he feels like if he leaves, he's going to in fact be leaving his soldiers behind and taking a coward's way out. As he's discussing this with Helena Stroud, they kind of dig into a little bit of a personal aspect on both of them, where he's asking her, well, what do you think? Do you think everyone will be thinking I'm a coward if I leave? And she's saying, you know what, you need to follow your conscience and stop worrying what others think. As they're speaking, the conversation kind of steers a little bit into Helena Stroud's personal life, where he asked her, well, who watches over Anya while she's deployed? And he asks as if the father is the one that watches over Anya. And she simply states something really interesting here that they never ever dived into, which I kind of wish they did. I kind of would like to know a little more. But basically she says the fact that the father's not around. So Anya's father is not a part of her life at all. But the one thing I really want to point out that's really interesting is she says right here, she goes, he's never going to be, basically saying not be around. And who he is, that's personal too. So kind of like basically saying, this guy's not around, he's not going to be a part of Anya's life. And who the actual father is also pretty much a secret. Not in the sense that she doesn't know, obviously she knows who the father is, but in a sense that she doesn't really want anyone else to know. So it's kind of weird, like, why is Helena so you know, secretive about that. It makes me wonder like who the father actually is, and you know what the relation between her and Anya and the father is. Like they never dived into that at all, and I kind of wish they did. But anyways, as we see her discussing, we see that she's actually working on making some Molotovs, and we'll see those being used shortly. Soon later on, the battle finally does commence, with the true soldiers and vehicles that they have to take out are finally coming. The tank starts shooting, the battle commences, and as they're fighting, Helena mentions the fact that she wants to use the Molotovs to run in and basically damage the vehicles from the inside, and we'll see more about that in a second. But Adam actually cuts her off and basically says, no, I will be the one to do that. And she's like, I can do it. And he's like, no, I'm going to do it. And he kind of like pushes her off the side. He's the leader. He's the one that's going to get to do this. And the one thing I just want to point out, the fact that's really interesting, is Helena kind of always been this type of soldier that really seems to be the type of person that's really in the face of the opponent. Like she's really into rushing in and fighting straight up. She's not afraid to get her hands dirty. And while this was really good for the war and helped her win a lot of battles, eventually in the novels it's explained that that did in fact bite her in the ass later on. Unfortunately, for those who don't know, on the Battle of Asheville Fields, when they're taking the Hammer of Dawn blueprints, she rushed in with some nades, and she was throwing in nades into a tank to blow it up, an anti-air vehicle actually. And while she was blowing up the anti-air vehicle, she jumped off. One of her belts on her armor got caught on one of the pieces of the tank, and she couldn't move. And while she was hanging from pretty much the air on the side of the tank, she was doomed because of the fact that she literally just threw a bunch of grenades inside that same tank. So when the tank exploded, it killed her too. So that was the thing that was kind of unfortunate. She's always been this person that's really into rushing in and even taking on vehicles single-handedly. This strategy ultimately led to her death, and that's just one thing I kind of wanted to point out, how she was even like this well before the Battle of Asheville Fields. And this kind of was a little bit of a throwback to that. I don't know if anyone really caught that when they read this comic book. That was literally the first thing that came to my mind, almost a little bit of foreshadowing. So that's just the one thing I kind of wanted to bring up here. But anyways, we see that once again Adam Fenix takes the lead, and he takes the Molotovs and leads the soldiers into battle. And Helena is forced to stay behind, and she's like, what is this? Is this some type of like grief or guilt or something that you're going through? And he's like, no, I just want to share the risk, as he tells her. I just want to share this battle. I don't want to be the one that's just hiding in the back, basically. So he rushes in, he tells her to stay back with the rocket launcher and just kind of cover them, and she does a damn good job by taking out the tracks of the tank with the rocket launcher. And as it's sitting there immobile, a lot of smoke starts coming out, and they use that same exact smoke to get close to it. And Adam and one of his fellow soldiers uses the Molotovs and throws it into the vents, which forces the soldier inside of it to come out and try to fight with his Gatling gun. As Adam Fenix and his soldier are running away, Adam is in fact hit in the leg by one of the stray bullets, but he's okay overall. And as he's being dragged on and they escape, he's getting some medical care, but he's still once again having huge guilt, asking how many soldiers have died in this pointless battle. And they explain that a total of 10 soldiers have died and a lot more are injured. And they eventually take out these tanks, take out these vehicles, and win the battle, and everything is fine. After the battle, we can see that HQ is in fact talking about Adam Fenix, and they have somewhat of a high opinion of him, stating that he really needs to join the Defense Research Agency so he can start working on these weapons. And after this, we cut back to Adam Fenix speaking with Helena Stroud yet again, and he has finally decided to become a scientist and start working on a weapon that could in fact end the war, because he's tired of these pointless battles, these pointless deaths, and he wants something to finally put an end to it all. And that's when he's finally convinced to start working on the Hammer of Dawn. And just so you know, this comic book takes place well before the Battle of Asheville Fields. It's actually barely on the 62nd year of the Pendulum Wars. The Pendulum Wars last for 79 years, so essentially about a good 17 years before he's able to finally make the Hammer of Dawn and everything. The thing that ultimately finally leads to the creation of it is actually the Battle of Asheville Fields, where they steal the blueprints from the UIR and use said blueprints to finally complete the weapon. But anyways guys, if you guys like this video, please definitely hit that like button and subscribe, and tell me what you guys think about this episode of Gears of War lore. This was in fact just a one-shot story yet again, just explaining what ultimately finally convinced Adam Fenix to become a true scientist and start working on the Hammer of Dawn. But anyways guys, thanks for watching and take it easy. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to see my most recent Gears of War video, hit that link on the left. If you want to see any of my other content, hit that link on the right. Thanks for watching guys.